All right, welcome back to our study and our walk through the book of Genesis. We are now at the midway point, and if you saw the last episode, we did a brief recap of the first 22 chapters that we've covered. Today, we are in Genesis chapter 23. And the theme of this chapter is faith lives in God's promises, even when facing death. This chapter is about the death of Sarah. And so we are going to jump right in. Read with me Genesis chapter 23 from verse 1. Sarah lived 127 years. These were the years of the life of Sarah. It's interesting because this is the only woman in scripture whose age at the time of death is mentioned. Verse 2, so Sarah died in Kirjath Arba, that is Hebron, in the land of Canaan, and Abraham came to mourn for Sarah and to weep for her. Now, let's pause. Sarah dies at 127 years in Hebron. She's the only woman in scripture whose age is mentioned, like I said. Abraham moans and weeps for her, which is natural. And what we can glean from this verse is that even great people of faith experience real grief. Faith does not remove sorrow. It grounds that sorrow in hope. Let me say that again. Faith does not remove sorrow. Abraham is a man of faith. But faith grounds that sorrow in hope. We hope even though we have grief. Abraham mourns deeply, yet not without purpose. Verse 3, then Abraham stood up from before his dead and spoke to the sons of Heth, saying, I am a foreigner and a sojourner among you. Give me property for a burial place among you, that I may bury my dead out of my sight. And the sons of Heth answered Abraham, saying to him, hear us, my lord, you are a mighty prince among us. Bury your dead in the choicest of our burial places. None of us will withhold from you his burial place, that you may bury your dead. Now, Abraham requests this from the Hittites, calling himself a stranger and a sojourner. Though promised the land, right? The land has been promised to him. He owns none of it yet. The Hittites respect him. They here call him a mighty prince. They honor this man. They can recognize that there is something with him. There is a favor, a blessing on this man. So Abraham lives between promise and fulfillment. The land has been offered to him. It's given to him, promised to him. Yet here, he has not yet possessed any portion of that land, and he's attempting to acquire a piece of it as a burial place. He knows the land will be his, but he still walks in humility and dependence. He's trying to buy it, though he knows it will belong. It is already his. He's already been promised this land. Yet he's humble. He's walking on dependence on God, and he's trying to acquire a piece of it, not through force, but buying it. This reflects the life of faith. We belong to God's promises, yet we live as pilgrims. Verse 7, then Abraham stood up and bowed himself to the people of the land, the sons of Heth. And he spoke with them, saying, If it is your wish that I bury my dead out of sight, hear me and meet with Ephron, the son of Zohar, for me, that he may give me the cave at Machpelah, which he has, which is at the end of his field. Let him give it to me at the full price, as property for a burial place among you. Now Ephron dwelt among the sons of Heth, and Ephron the Hittite answered Abraham in the presence of the sons of Heth, all who entered at the gate of his city, saying, No, my lord, hear me. I give you the field and the cave that is in it. I give it to you in the presence of the sons of my people. I give it to you. Bury your dead. Then Abraham bowed himself down before the people of the land, and he spoke to Ephron in the hearing of the people of the land, saying, If you will give it, please hear me, I will give you money for the field. Take it from me, and I will bury my dead there. And Ephron answered Abraham, saying to him, My lord, listen to me. The land is worth 400 shekels of silver. What is that between you and me? So bury your dead. And Abraham listened to Ephron, and Abraham weighed out the silver for Ephron, which he had named in the hearing of the sons of Heth. 400 shekels of silver, currency of the merchants. Abraham requests a burial site, the cave of Machpelah, from Ephron the Hittite. Ephron offers it for free, but this was just a cultural formality. It is a negotiation tactic. He's not really offering it for free. He's selling it, and you know that because right after he says, "I'm going to give it to you for free," he names a price for it: 400 shekels of silver. Abraham refuses to take shortcuts or rely on favor. They favor him. They call him a mighty prince, but he's not going to depend on the favor that he has in their eyes, and he's not going to take a shortcut to possess the land that has already been given to him. He is relying on faith. He secures a legitimate legal claim. This is the first piece of the promised land Abraham actually owns, but it is a burial site. Faith often begins possession of God's promises in unexpected ways. Verse 17. So the field of Ephron, which was in Machpelah, which was before Mamre, the field and the cave which was in it, and all the trees that were in the field, which were within all the surrounding borders, were deeded to Abraham as a possession in the presence of the sons of Heth, before all who went in at the gate of his city. And after this, Abraham buried Sarah, his wife, in the cave of the field of Machpelah, before Mamre, that is Hebron, in the land of Canaan. So the field and the cave that is in it were deeded to Abraham by the sons of Heth as property for a burial place. We're going to pause there for today. Now, the field and the cave are officially transferred to Abraham. Sarah is buried in the cave at Machpelah. The transaction is witnessed and legally established. The moment is quiet, but very, very powerful. And this is why a grave becomes a guarantee of future inheritance. Abraham plants his hope in God's promise, even in death. Genesis 23 that we have just covered, just those 20 verses, is not just about the burial of Sarah. It is about belief. Abraham buys land in Canaan because he believes two things. One, God will give this land to his descendants, and death will not cancel God's promise. This chapter echoes something forward prophetically. The patriarchs are buried in the same grave that Abraham buys here. Abraham himself, his son Isaac, and Jacob, and their wives will all be buried in this cave. It becomes a physical testimony of God's covenant faithfulness. It reflects a deeper hope that resurrection and future fulfillment is guaranteed. This aligns with the faith later described in Hebrew chapter 11. In that chapter, it mentions that Abraham looked beyond the present to a city whose builder is God. What is that? That is hope in resurrection that is in the future. Faith holds on to God's promises, even through loss, even though grief is real, but hope is greater. We need to live as pilgrims on this world, not as owners. We are passing through even while trusting God's future. We need to act on God's promises even before fulfillment. Abraham bought land he would never fully possess in his lifetime, acting on faith even before the fulfillment of the promise. We need to let death, when it visits our loved ones, deepen our trust in God and not weaken it. For the believer, for you and I, death is not the end of the story. Therefore, Abraham mourns Sarah, purchases a burial place in this place, Canaan. This is the first owned piece of the promised land. This act of faith shows confidence in God's promises, even in death, and anchors hope in future fulfillment. Chapter 24 covers Isaac's marriage. This will happen next week. Shalom. I'll see you in the next one.